All right. So before I go over the warm-up activity answers, just give you kind of a brief overview of what this week is going to look like. We are starting chapters or section 7.6 in our textbook, which is solving inequalities using addition and subtraction. Very similar to what we did with algebraic equations when we isolated the variable by doing the inverse operation. More of that to come. So from Monday, it's just going to be from work based on your practice journal, the activities. If you have your practice journal, awesome. I'm guessing most of us is probably at school. So if your practice journal's at school, don't worry about it. Just do it in your notebook or paper. Don't worry about submitting the assignment. Just do it and then watch the video to go over the answers. And so that's going to be Monday, just Monday. Um, the only thing the only thing that we're doing Monday. Tuesday, we're going to be solving equations using addition and subtraction, which is very similar to equations. We use inverse operation. Wednesday, the same thing, but we're going to be doing it with word problems. And Thursday is what I call choice day. And choice day, you're going to have two different choices between difficulties based on the section, this week's learning. You get to choose either one of them to do. And then we have a quiz at the end of Thursday. Uh, So the quiz at the end of Thursday, and then I have it copied. It's down here on Friday too as well, but it's the same quiz as long as you have it submitted by Friday at 5. Uh, you can do it Thursday night. You can get it over with, or you can wait until Friday. However you want to do it. Okay, let's go over the answers. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I did last week. I'm going to give you the answers first, and if you got the answer correct, go ahead and you can either continue watching the video if you want, while I go over them. Or you can just exit out the video and just go on to the assignment and continue on. So if it's up to you, you want to go over your answers, you want to see what I did. If not, just go over to your assignment, the activities. All right. So for number one, 5 and 1/4. Number two, 8/15. 3, 5, 4, 3. And then check the solution. I have yes and no. All right. So if you actually before you go, if you want to move on, I'm gonna go over something real quick. So if you're ready to move on, stop the video and start. And once I finish, go ahead and do the start thinking activity, and then go ahead and do all 3 pages of your practice journal, and then really just finish up the lesson. You can go back, have the videos to the practice journal posted, so review that, and then just finish the day. All right. So those of you that want to stick around and go over the answers, let's do some math. All right. So it's gonna be it's gonna be kind of scattered. That way I can save all the answers and repost the slides. So for number one, I'm gonna do it up here. Oh, I'm gonna circle that. I'm getting a little bit better at this. All right, so I have 4 2/3 divided by 8/9 equals 5 and 1/4. All right, so remember when I divide a fraction, I need to multiply, I need to find the reciprocal of the divisor, which would be, just flip it around, so 9/8. I need to multiply it times the dividend, right? Which is 4 2/3, right? Before I multiply or work with the fractions, I'm going to go ahead and convert that 4 2/3 into a mixed number. It's a little bit easier to work with. So I have 4 2/3. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So that equals 14/3, right? Divided by 8/9. Right? And so I need to multiply. I need to convert that divisor into a reciprocal. So I get 14/3 times 9/8. So I found the reciprocal of 8/9, and then I change that division sign symbol into multiplication symbol. All right, so I can do this 2 ways. I can multiply 14 times 9 and then 3 times 8 and then get a fraction and simplify that fraction. But I can make these fractions a little bit more manageable by simplifying them, cross canceling. So I'm going to first look at the 3 and the 9. So I can reduce 3 and the 9 because 3 is a factor of 9. So therefore I can divide both by 3 to simplify those. So 9 divided by 3 would be 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, so I can do the same thing with 14 and 8 because 14 and 8 have 2 as a common factor. So I'm going to divide both by 2 and I get 4/7. Okay, now multiply and I get, so 7 times 3 is 21. It's gone. 21 fourths, right? And that equals, if I simplify that, I would have 5 and 1/4. Right, so 5 and 1/4 is my answer. All right, let's go on to number 2. So 2/3, so I got number 2. 2/3, circle that. 2/3 times 4/5. All right, and so when I'm multiplying fractions, all I got to do is simply multiply the numerator times the numerator, denominator times the denominator, and I get 8/15, and that is already simplified. So 8/15 is my answer. All right, number 3. Let's go with black. All right, so number 3, I have 3x divided by 5. All right, so equals 3. All right, and this is going to be very similar to what we're going to do this week, but instead of an equation, we're going to do it with an inequality. So what I need to do is I need to get that 3x, I need to get that variable isolated, and I can do so by multiplying 3/5 times its reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply it times 5/3, and then I can do the same thing on the other side of the equation times 5/3. So what happens, very similar to up here where we did the cross canceling, that's why this cancels each other out, because now I can cancel out 5, and then 3 and 3, and so I'm left with x equals, and 3 times 5 is 15, and then I can make that into a fraction. 1 times 3 is 3, so equals, and then I can simplify that. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. All right, so let's go on to number 4. Let's go with purple. All right, so 8p equals 24, so I'm going to do the inverse operation again, in which, 8 times p, so the inverse operation of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 8, cross out, and so I'm left with p, and then 24 divided, so p, 24 divided by 8 is 3, so p equals 3. All right, that's why we do the inverse operation. Remember, number 3 and 4, our goal is to isolate that variable. And once we actually isolate that variable, we know what what number that variable is. All right, so number 4. So I'm going to go up here. Let's go with green again. So once I can do number 5 and 6, all I need to do is check the solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in that 3 in place of the h. All right, and then that way I can check that solution. So if I plug in that 3 in place of h, I have 7 times 3 less than 21. And then, so 21, or no, less than, sorry, greater than or equal to 21. That is true, so I have a solution. All right, and number 6. Number 6. All right, same thing. I'm going to plug in that 10 in place of r, see if that inequality is true. So 10 is greater than 10, and that is not true, so the answer is no. And the reason being, 10 is not greater than 10. 10 equals a 10. If I had the greater than or equal to sign, then that would be true, but I don't, so the answer is no. All right, so go ahead, like I told the group that left already, go ahead and resume the activities, and then check out my other video.